Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Burns. I am the project manager for the local bridge program. And tonight we're having the public informational meeting for project number 95-259, replacement of bridge number 5122 on Van Car Road in the town of New Milford. This will be a live Zoom event. As I said, my name is Mark Burns, and here is my contact information as shown. The goals for tonight's meeting will be interacting with the project team, explaining the federal local bridge program, design managed by state or DMS program, welcome remarks by the town of New Milford, introductions of the project team, and a formal presentation of the design process, which will explain the condition of the existing bridge, to define the purpose and need, and to recommend a viable proposal. Please keep in mind we're only at 30% design. We will also stay on to take your questions and answer them during the live Q&A event. If you would like to ask a question, you can reach us through these three means: by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020, which is a voicemail, or in the live Zoom Q&A, which will be open during this live event. You can also visit the project webpage at portal.ct.gov/DOT New Milford 95-259. The comment period will be open through December 28th. I now have to read this slide regarding Title VI and civil rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We highly encourage you to fill out the voluntary post-meeting survey, which is located on the project webpage. And there is also an additional webpage shown to reach out any civil rights information. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. So to explain our program and how it's funded, we use the federal local bridge program, which is traditionally funded 80% federal dollars and 20% through town dollars for design rights of way and construction. In the DMS, or design managed by state program, the design rights of way and construction phases are funded 80% federal and 20% state funds. So there's no upfront cost to the towns. Even though we are designing it on behalf of the town, the design is still a full partnership and coordination with the town of New Milford. We started the DMS program to provide a streamlined approach to design using our DOT resources, which include our consultant liaison engineers and our on-call designers. We also created to aid the towns to keep their bridges in a state of good repair, to decrease typical project design time from upwards of 5 years to 24 to 36 months, and to utilize accelerated bridge construction techniques to shorten construction duration, and to also increase the number of municipal projects delivered to construction each year. I'll now take remarks from Jack Healy, Public Works Director and Town Engineer from New Milford. Jack?
Good evening. Yes, this is Jack Healy. I'm the Public Works Director for the town of New Milford, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. This is a program which is very beneficial to the town. Just as an example, the town has 4 projects currently, in either with a program with the state, with the 80% funding, or the current DMS program. This is one of 3 with the DMS program. We have finished 5 bridges in the last year, and we have 8 bridges in the queue right now to be constructed. So it's important to the town that we're able to use dollars from the federal and state government, and the town doesn't have to fund those dollars. The Van Car Bridge was recently temporarily repaired due to a safety inspection. We did that with the intention that we knew that this program was coming and we were going to participate in it and completely repair or replace the bridge in the upcoming years. This is a great cooperative effort between DOT and the town. We appreciate their agreeing to do this for us, and we look forward to finishing this project up in the next few years. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Jack. I'll now introduce the rest of the project team. On the far left of the screen is Bart Sweeney, our Division Chief of the Bridge Unit. To my left is Derek Lassard, Principal Engineer. To my right is Andrew Shields, the project engineer for DOT. On the bottom portion of the screen is Zachary Garano, right-of-way coordinator. And then from Close Jensen to Miller, who is our department liaison and acts as our extension, is Mike Brady, project manager, and Dan Carnine, project engineer. I will now run through some basic structural elements of the bridge. The deck, as shown on top, is the surface on which vehicles and pedestrians travel on. The parapet acts as a safety barrier for vehicles and pedestrians to avoid any impacts or collisions or any other dangerous situations. Carrying the deck is the superstructure in the beams, which is also shown, which exists on your current structure. Carrying the superstructure and deck are the bridge abutments and the substructure, otherwise known as the piers. And there will also be wing walls present as well, usually on abutments. Bridge rating conditions rate on a scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being excellent condition and 1 being imminent failure. The department also uses a 0 to recommend full closure of structure. I will now turn it over to Dan Carnine so he can begin the formal presentation. Dan?
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, as Mark said, I'm the project engineer for this project from Close Jensen Miller. So I'll be talking to you about the project specific information for project number 95-259, replacement of bridge number 5122. So the bridge carries Vancar Road over the East Aspetuck River in the town of New Milford. The bridge is 0.6 miles west of the intersection with Route 202, and it's adjacent to Paper Mill Road. Here's an aerial view of the site showing that the bridge is located on the edge of a suburban area. So to the east, there's more residential and park properties, and then to the left, there's more forested areas. The right picture on the slide here shows a closer view of the bridge that really shows how close we are to that intersection with Paper Mill Road. The existing bridge itself was built in 1957, and that bridge consists of steel beams, a reinforced concrete deck, and that is supported by reinforced concrete abutments and wing walls. The bridge has a 53-foot total structure length, a 22-foot approximate curb to curb width, and then an average daily traffic of 840 vehicles per day. There are existing overhead utilities at the site. They currently span the structure on the north side or upstream side of the bridge along Vancar Road, and then they also run along Paper Mill Road to the west. We will be coordinating with utility companies throughout the design process to ensure that there's no disruptions to service throughout the project. So now we're going to start getting into kind of the reasons for the project by looking at the existing bridge condition, starting with the bridge deck. The deck has been rated in poor condition with an overall rating of 4 out of 10. There's random cracks, damp areas, shallow rusted rebar. There's hollow areas, and then there's even some active leakage going on, specifically above one of the girders G4. That active leakage means that there's water and salts from the road leaking through the bridge concrete and then causing further deterioration of the bridge. So moving on to that superstructure, which is composed of those girders, the superstructure is in serious condition overall with a rating of 3 out of 10. There is moderate to heavy rust throughout the entire superstructure, more specifically girder G4, where the active leakage is. That girder exhibits severe deterioration and substantial section loss. And kind of as Jack mentioned before during his remarks, that a bridge lane, one of the travel lanes was temporarily closed because of this deterioration. However, repairs have been performed and the bridge is safe to traffic, so all lanes are currently open on the bridge. We will be moving forward with the project to address all the superstructure conditions and provide a more long-term overall solution for these deficiencies. Also, part of this project, we evaluated the existing bridge for scour. We did find that there's moderate potential for scour at the bridge, and that our preliminary analysis revealed that this bridge is scour critical, meaning that the footings of the bridge could be undermined during a severe storm event. There is also a history of scour at the site. Riprap and stones placed during the original construction of the bridge have been displaced and are no longer at the bridge. And there is also streambed aggradation occurring under and downstream from the bridge. So, due to the bridge structural deficiencies, along with its potential for scour, this project will involve a full bridge replacement. This is an elevation view of the proposed bridge. So here you can see the proposed bridge, which will consist of pre-stressed concrete box beams, which run over the river here. That would be supported by concrete abutments on both sides, and those abutments will be founded on piles that go down into the ground and into rock. On the top side, open metal bridge rail will be used along the roadway, and that open metal bridge rail will tie into curved concrete end walls at each corner of the bridge. So this is a plan view of the proposed project. So this is the view looking down over the river with the proposed bridge shown here in orange. You can see at each corner we have those curved concrete end walls. On the paper mill side, we will be recommending metal beam rail that will tie into the existing rail that's out there today. On the van car side, we're not currently proposing any metal beam rail since there isn't any today. As part of this project, we will be slightly widening the bridge structure. So we will be going with a slightly longer clear span of 55 feet for the proposed bridge. As a result, we will need to reconfigure the driveway adjacent to the bridge located at the southeast corner. So portions of that driveway will be reconstructed with new bituminous concrete pavement driveway aprons, along with gravel section. And then lastly, we will improve the drainage at the site by installing new drainage structures, including catch basins, and then tying into an existing drainage system that's already out there today. This is a cross-section view of the proposed bridge. Starting at the bottom, you can see the pre-stressed concrete box beams. On top of that, there is a concrete slab. And then on top of that is your roadway pavement. The roadway for the proposed bridge will have a 22-foot curb-to-curb width consisting of two 11-foot travel lanes, one in each direction. So we will be matching what's out there today. Here are some examples of recent bridge projects that have the same structure type. So both these bridges have concrete box beams with the open metal bridge rail on top. So this should give you a good idea of what the Van Car Road Bridge will look like at the end of construction. Construction for the Van Car Road Bridge, Bridge 5122, will utilize detour enclosures of both Van Car and Paper Mill Road. Van Car Road will be closed for one construction season, or approximately 6 to 8 months. And because the bridge is so close to Paper Mill Road, we will have to temporarily close Paper Mill Road to perform construction activities within that intersection. It was determined that these activities should be limited to an approximate 3-month window over the summertime to help limit disruptions to local traffic and buses in the area. The signed detour route that could be used by all types of vehicles, trucks, buses, cars, people not familiar with the area. That signed detour route will include Paper Mill Road, Route 202, Elm and Bennett Street, along with Wellsville Avenue. This project will require some rights-of-way activities, mainly in the form of temporary construction easements. These construction easements are shown in green. There's also some other slope easements shown in the brown area. But the construction easements will mainly be used for excavation, grading, and then reconstructing portions of that driveway located at the southeast corner of the bridge. We're not proposing any concrete or bridge structures outside of the existing street line. And we also want to keep in mind that these impacts are from a preliminary design plans, and that these impacts could change as design progresses. We will go a little bit more in depth on the rights-of-way process But as design progresses, we will also be coordinating with individual property owners. For this project, we will be getting all the required environmental permits at the local, state, and federal levels. So we do anticipate a New Milford Inland Wetlands permit, a flood management certification from the state of Connecticut, along with a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers general permit. Overall, this project will take one construction season, or approximately 6 to 8 months, with an anticipated construction start date of spring 2025. Currently, the estimated cost for this project is $2,955,000, with a state share of $591,000. And again, as Mark and Jack mentioned before, this is one of those design managed by state projects, or DMS projects, where the town share for this project will be $0. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Zach from our team to talk more about the rights of way process.
Thanks, Dan. Like Dan mentioned, my name is Zachary Carino. I'm the project coordinator, Department's Division of Rights of Way. Our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights needed for transportation projects. Proposed project design requires the acquisition of property rights, like Dan mentioned, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the department's right-of-way acquisition process. Also, like Dan mentioned, the specific impacts are still being finalized, so they may change as the design progresses. Any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with the Connecticut General Statutes, sections 13A 73 and 13A 98E. And since there's federal money used in this project, we'll also be adhering to the Uniform Act. Change the slide. Once the design has progressed to a point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be required. On the screen, that's just a sample property map. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights to use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner. It's important to note that the state only acquires property rights that are needed for the project. If there's any questions specifically regarding to the right-of-way process, I'd be happy to answer them after the presentation. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Dan. Everyone, that concludes our formal presentation. We'll now open to any questions and answers. We once again encourage you to visit the project webpage at portal.ct.gov/DOT New Milford 95-259, and to also take the project survey. Once again, I'll also say if you have a question that comes up after this question and answer session, you can reach us at the dot-flbp@ct.gov email address or at 860-594-2020. The comment period will be open through December 28th of this year. Having not seen any questions, I think at this point we can conclude the live public info event. We appreciate everyone who attended and have a pleasant evening. Goodbye.